We are going to learn about Indian Constitution, and the learning objectives for today's sessions are: why do we need the Constitution? What is Constituent Assembly? What are the key features of Indian Constitution? So let's start with first question is, what prior knowledge do you have about the Indian Constitution? Indian Constitution is the supreme law of India. The document lay down the framework, democratic fundamental political codes, set out the fundamental rights, directive principle and duties of citizens. Next question come across with like, when did the Indian Constitution came into the force? On 26 November 1949, Constitution was adopted, and on 26 Jan 1915, it becomes effective. Who was the President of Indian Constituent Assembly? So answer we already know about that. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the President of Constituent Assembly. This is also one of the important questions. Who is also referred to the father of the Indian Constitution? The answer is Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, considered as the father of Indian Constitution. Now there are some points that we need to include while studying of this Indian Constitution is, apart from Dr. Rajendra Prasad and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Maulana Azad, Sarojini Naidu were eminent members of Constituent Assembly that drafted the Indian Constitution. Next question come across in our mind is, why do we need a constitution? We need a constitution because the constitution serves several purposes. So for this statement, we have some example like, when people have power, they sometimes tend to misuse it. The constitution laid down rules that prevent people from misusing the power given to them. Many of the time, majority group enforce their decision on the minority group. So, the constitution makes provision so that a dominant group does not ill-treated to a smaller group or a less privileged group. That is making of the Indian Constitution. If we talk about this, India was ruled by the Britishers for nearly 200 years. The importance of the drafting a constitution that gave equal freedom and rights to all the citizens of India. The Constituent Assembly was formed in 1946 to draft the Indian Constitution. It had over 300 members including Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Maulana Azad, Sarojini Naidu, Vijayalakshmi Pandit were some of the eminent members of the Constituent Assembly that drafted the Indian Constitution. The Constitution drafted maintained diversity of the different people while preserving the national unity. The Constitution of India was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on November 26 of 1949 and came into the effect on January 26, 1950. This is our Indian Constitution. Please next. This is one of the assembly and Dr. Rajendra Prasad is addressing the assembly. Next. This is drafting committee and one of the eminent members are sitting over there including Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Next. If we talk about our Indian Constitution, that takes so long period and hence Indian Constitution considered as longer written constitution. If we talk about this point, after the declaration of independence on 15th August 1947, the Constituent Assembly became a sovereign body and also doubled as a legislature for a new state. It served as constitution making body as well as lawmaking organ. Key features of Indian Constitution. There are some points they are majorly played a role in terms of our Constitution. The first is federalism. Federalism refers to the division of power between central authority and its subunit. Second, the parliamentary form of the government. The Indian Constitution states that India will have a parliamentary form of government which guarantee the rights to vote to all the Indian citizens irrespective of caste, creed, culture, gender while electing their representative to the legislature. Third is separation of power. The Indian Constitution divides the government powers into the three different organs, namely legislature, executive and judiciary. Each organ of the government acts as a check on the other. Fourth is secularism. Secularism refers to refining the use of promotion of any religion in political matter. India, even though it is a diversified country, but we are not promoting any one of the religion. Last is fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Our constitution also lays down some fundamental duties and rights that each citizen is expected to follow.
We, the people of India, Bharat ke log, having solemnly resolved to constitute India as a sovereign, socialist, democratic,
About the vision of the Indian Constitution. Our Constitution is not just a legal document. It provides guiding principles to conduct the affairs of the country in a fair and a just manner. The makers of the Indian Constitution wanted to identify the functions of various institutions and the importance of political figure of India. Let's start with preamble. The introductory statement of our Constitution is considered as a preamble, is an introduction to the basic ideas and objectives of the Constitution. The preamble promises features like justice, liberty, equality and fraternity to all the citizens of the country, though it cannot be enforced in the court of law. That India is free from external control by any other country or authority. Socialism. Socialism means public control and equal distribution of all resources. Next is secular. India is a country of the people of a different religion, culture, language, caste, creed. The term secularism or secular suggests that India does not endorse any religion as a state religion. Democratic. The word democracy means the power of people. Constitutional amendment. We already know what you mean by the amendment. Amendment means the changes. If we talk about the constitutional amendment, it's the process of making changes in the constitution. Okay, and apart from that, if we take an example of amendment, so one example related with the amendment is the Hindu Succession Act 2005 gives equal rights to the daughters in their father's property. So the next point is law and descent. As we know, law and descent are the two sides of the same coin. Sometimes people agree to the most of the law, but it's never happened every time. Some people are not satisfied that the law made that time the decent work. Dissent also means refusal to conform to a particular authority. Let's take an example. Salt Satyagraha that was began in 1930. It was done by Mahatma Gandhi. They showed dissent against the British's rule by starting the Salt Satyagraha or a Salt March in 1930. The Britishers made a law which did not allow Indians to manufacture the salt. They were forced to buy the imported and expensive salt which everybody could not afford. Gandhiji started the Salt Satyagraha, a demonstration against the British, by marching to the town of Dandi and making the salt along with the needy people. So, the conclusion is sometimes dissent brings about a change in the society or political situation of a country, and hence law and dissent consider the two sides of the same coin.